Hi friends, I am B.N. Patil, the founder, president and the principal of KVV Samiti's Sri N.V. Patil Memorial PU College, Vijaypur. I welcome you to my video class. In today's class, we will discuss some important questions on rotational motion. Please like it and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to get notifications of new videos. Rod of length 50 cm is pivoted at one end. It is raised such that it makes an angle of 30 degree from the horizontal as shown and released from rest. Its angular speed when it passes through the horizontal will be. The options are first one square root of 30 by 7, second one square root of 30, third one square root of 20 by 3, fourth one square root of 30 by 2. Of length 50 centimeter and it is pivoted at one end and it is raised so that it makes angle 30 degree with the horizontal. Now the question is, if it is released from rest, what would be its angular speed? Okay, so here when the rod is raised from the horizontal position, now it has a potential energy. Okay, when we release it from here, it will fall down. Then its potential energy will be converted into kinetic energy. And according to law of conservation of energy, potential energy is equal to kinetic energy. So now it is a uniform rod. Let us consider its center of mass. Its center of mass will be at its midpoint. Okay, so here now suppose this height is h, then the potential energy of this center of mass will be mgh, and when it comes to the horizontal position it becomes 0. Therefore change in potential energy is mgh, and it's okay, when it is released it will rotate, right? Fixed at one end it will rotate. Therefore its rotational kinetic energy is 1 by 2 I omega square. That is equal to 1 by 2. Here I is the moment of inertia. Moment of inertia of the rod about any end is given by ml square by 3. So ml square by 3 omega square. Now here m gets cancelled. Therefore we can write omega square is equal to, here 2 into 3 6, so 6 gh divided by l square. Okay, now let us substitute these values. Here 6, g value is 10, and h, this height can be written as h is equal to, from here to here it is 25 centimeter. Okay, total length is 50, so center of mass is at the midpoint, therefore this is 25, and we can write 25 sine 30 degree. So in place of h I will write 25 sine 30, and it is in centimeter, so if you write it in meter we get 0.25 and sine 30 is 1 by 2, so h can be written as 0.25 by 2, then divided by L square. So L is 50 centimeter. In SI system it is 0.50 or 0.5. So it is square. Therefore we write 0.5 into 0.5. Now you simplify this. Okay. Now what happens here? 2 ones are 2 5s are. Here 0.25 ones are 0.25 2s are. Now 6 into 5. 30. In the numerator we get 30. In the denominator 2 into 0.5. 2 into 0.5 is 1. This is omega square. Therefore omega is equal to square root of 30. So the square root of 30 radian per second. This is the angular speed of the rod. To mop clean a floor, a cleaning machine presses a circular mop of radius r vertically downward with a total force F and rotates it with a constant angular speed about its axis. If the force F is distributed uniformly over the mop and if coefficient of friction between the mop and the floor is mu, the torque applied by the machine on the mop is option 1 mu Fr by 3, 2 mu Fr by 6, 3 mu Fr by 2, 4 2 by 3 mu Fr. A circular mop used to clean the floor looks like this. It is a circular mop. It will be having a handle here. So when we press this handle, then this mop rotates and cleans the floor. So it is given that when the force F is applied vertically, then that force is uniformly distributed over the mop. That means this force is distributed all over the mop and then the mop rotates. Now the question is, what is the torque acting on this mop? Okay, so I will draw the vertical view of this mop. That means when we observe from the above vertically how it looks. So it is circular. It is a circular mop of radius r. So its radius is given. Its radius is r. Now what is the question? What is the torque acting on this? Okay. Yes. So here it is given that the force applied is uniformly distributed over this mop. Therefore, the force acting per unit area. Force acting per unit area can be written as F divided by pi r square, because here area of the circular loop is pi r square. Now I will consider a small strip of this circular mop. Let us consider a small strip of this circular loop. Okay, so I will take this strip. Let us assume that from here to here this length is x, or radius of this strip is x. Okay, first we will find what is the torque acting on this strip, then we will find the torque acting on the entire mop. Okay, so now if F by pi r square is the force per unit area, then the force acting on this area, so area of this strip is given by 2 pi x dx. Here x is its distance from the center and dx is thickness of this strip. Dx is thickness. Okay, if dx is thickness and x is the distance of the strip from the center, then area of the strip is 2 pi x dx. So this is the force acting on the strip. Then what is the friction force acting on this strip? So the friction force acting on the strip, to get the friction force, we multiply it by coefficient of friction, mu. It is given, right? The coefficient of friction between the mop and the floor is mu. Therefore, this is frictional force acting on this strip. So if this is frictional force, then what is the torque due to this frictional force? You know that torque is given by force into perpendicular distance, right? Or F into R, that is perpendicular distance. So here the distance of this strip is x, therefore I will write into x. So this gives you the torque acting on this small strip. D tau is the torque acting on the small portion of this mop. Okay. Now here this pi gets cancelled. Then this is the torque acting on for a small strip. Now what is the torque acting on the entire mop? That can be obtained by integrating this. So integration of this means integration of this term. So here first we will write the constant terms. 2 mu f by r square is a constant term here. 2 mu f by r square. Then under integration we get x square dx. And we have to integrate it from 0 to r. Because here x value changes from 0 to, if you take the entire mob, then the x value will be 0 to r. Therefore we integrate it from 0 to r. So that is equal to, okay, so 2 mu f by r square. Then what is the integration of this? Integration of this becomes x cube by 3 from 0 to r. Now you substitute the limits. First we will put x equal to capital R, then minus we will put x equal to 0. So if you put x equal to 0, it becomes 0, so second term will not be there. So we get this torque equal to 2 mu f by r square. So here first I will put x equal to r, then it becomes r cube by 3 minus 0. When we put x equal to 0, we get 0. So now what happens? So here if you simplify this, here r square and here square gets cancelled, you will get 2 mu f r. Here r remains, and r square gets cancelled, r remains. Then here 3. So 2 by 3 mu of r is the torque acting on the entire mob. This is the answer. I think it is option number 4. Let us take the next question. A homogeneous solid cylindrical roller of radius r and mass m is pulled on a cricket pitch by a horizontal force. Assuming rolling without slipping, angular acceleration of the cylinder is. The options are 1. 3f by 2 mr, 2. f by 3 mr, 3. f by 2 mr, 4. 2f by 3 mr. It is given that a roller is pulled by a force F. When we pull this roller, that roller will start rolling. Then here the frictional force will come into action. So small f is the frictional force. It opposes the motion. Okay. Yes. Now the question is, what is the angular acceleration of the roller? So here the resultant force acting on the roller can be written as F minus F. Here F is the applied force and this frictional force opposes this force. Therefore, resultant force is F minus F is equal to, we can write M into A, where A is linear acceleration and M is mass of the roller. Or we can write it as M. You know that A is equal to R alpha, where R is radius of the roller. It is also given R is radius and alpha is angular acceleration of the roller. Now we have to find this alpha. The torque acting on the roller can be written as F into R or R into F. This is the torque. Or you can also write it as I into alpha. That is equal to I for the circular circle, I is given by mr square by 2. That is moment of inertia is mr square by 2. For a solid cylinder, about the center, the moment of inertia is mr square by 2. Then it is okay. Then here R gets cancelled. Therefore, you can write F is equal to mr alpha by 2. Now you substitute this here. You will get F minus, in place of F, I will write mr alpha by 2 is equal to mr alpha. Therefore, F is equal to mr alpha. When you send to the right side, it becomes plus. So plus mr alpha by 2. So mr alpha plus mr alpha by 2 is 3 by 2 mr alpha. 3 by 2 mr alpha. Therefore, alpha is equal to, we want angular acceleration, that is alpha. Therefore, alpha will be equal to 2f divided by 3mr. This is the answer. I think option 4. Let us take the next question. A mass of 10 kg is suspended vertically by a rope from the roof. When a horizontal force is applied on the rope at some point, the rope deviated at an angle of 45 degree at the roof point. If the suspended mass is at equilibrium, the magnitude of the force applied is. The options are: first one 200 Newton, second one 140 Newton, third one 70 Newton, and fourth one 100 Newton. It is given that a mass of 10 kg is suspended from the roof, and when it is pulled by a horizontal force F, it makes angle 45 degree, and now it is in equilibrium. Then what is the magnitude of the force? That is the question. Okay. Yes. Now here, what are the forces acting on this mass? One is applied force F, and then its weight is acting vertically downwards. That is m into g. And here the tension is acting T. Now this tension T can be resolved into two components. So here, okay, this is a 45 degree, then this angle is also 45 degree because alternate angles. Now the component of this T along the vertical will be T cos 45, and the component of T along the horizontal means in this direction, it will be T sin 45. So totally 4 forces are acting: F, mg, T sin 45 and T cos 45. Now it is given that when the force F is applied, this mass is in equilibrium. So mass is equilibrium means this along vertical and along horizontal, the total force must be 0. Therefore, this weight is balanced by T cos 45. Therefore, we write T cos 45 degree is equal to m into g. That is, here m is 10 kg and g is acceleration due to gravity. We take it 10. Then we get T cos 45 is 1 by root 2. So T into 1 by root 2 is equal to 100. Therefore, T is equal to 100 root 2. This is tension in the string. Its unit is Newton. Next, we take horizontal forces. So horizontal forces T sin 45 and F. So this F should be balanced by this T sin 45 degree. That is equal to, here T value is 100 root 2 and sin 45 value is 1 by root 2. Now root 2 gets cancelled, then 100 remains. So force is equal to 100. The magnitude of the force is 100 Newton. The next question. A rigid massless rod of length 3L has two masses attached at each end as shown in the figure. The rod is pivoted at point P on the horizontal axis. When released from the initial horizontal position, its instantaneous angular acceleration will be. The options are: first one g by 13L, second one g by 3L, third one g by 2L, fourth one 7g by 3L. Here two masses 5m0 and 2m0 are attached to two ends of a rod, and here this rod is pivoted at point P. From here to here length is L, and from here to here it is 2L. So total length of the rod is 3L. Now if the rod is released, then what is the acceleration? So when we leave it freely, then what happens? This rod will rotate in clockwise direction about point P, right? Therefore, here what are the torques acting on this rod? See here, first we will see what are the forces acting on this. Here 5 m0 mass is there, so its weight will be acting vertically downwards. It is 5 m0 g. Similarly, this weight 2 m0 g. So these are the two forces, and they will produce the torque. First, what is the torque produced by this? Okay, I will write total torque equal to torque produced by this. See, when this force is applied, the rod rotates in anti-clockwise rotation. So according to convention, anti-clockwise torque is taken positive. So we will take it positive. So how do we define torque? Force into distance from axis of rotation. So here force is 5 m0 g and distance from axis of rotation is L. So 5 m0 L. Then when this force is applied, the rod tends to rotate in clockwise direction, right? So clockwise torques are taken as negative. So this torque can be written as 2 m0 g into 2L. This is torque acting on the rod. The torque can also be written as I into alpha, where I is moment of inertia of the system. So here we will take moment of inertia of these two particles. So moment of inertia of this one. Here mass of this mass is 5 m0 into r square. Here r is L. You know that moment of inertia equal to m r square. Here m is 5 m0 and r is L. So 5 m0 into L square. Plus similarly for this mass. Here its mass is 2 m0 into r square. From axis of rotation, what is its distance? 2L. So 2L square. So that is equal to, now it is 2L square means it becomes 4L square. 4L square into 2, 8L square. 8 m0 L square, right? So it is 5 m0 L square. 8 m0 L square plus 5 m0 L square is 13 m0 L square. So now these two torques can be compared. Okay. Here we will simplify this also. 5 m0 here 2 into 2 4. 4 m0 L. 5 m0 L minus 4 m0 L is 1 m0 L. Now from these two equations, this is also tau. This is also tau. Means left hand side are same, means right hand side must also be equal. Therefore we write and don't forget to write this alpha. It is I into alpha. So here also alpha. So here 13 m0 L square alpha is equal to m0 gl. Now here m0 gets cancelled. Here 1L gets cancelled. Therefore alpha is equal to G divided by 13L. G divided by 13L. This is the angular acceleration of the rod, and this is the answer.
The next question. Two identical spherical balls of mass m and radius r each are stuck on two ends of a rod of length 2r and mass m. The moment of inertia of the system about the axis passing perpendicularly through the center of the rod is. Options are: first one 137 by 15 mr square, second one 17 by 15 mr square, third one 209 by 15 mr square, fourth one 152 by 15 mr square.
Okay, here two spheres of radius r and mass m are stuck at both the ends of a rod of length 2r. Now the question is, what is the moment of inertia of this system about an axis passing through the center of the rod? Okay, so here the moment of inertia of the system I is equal to moment of inertia of the spheres plus moment of inertia of the rod. So first we will find the moment of inertia of spheres. Okay, yes. So here the moment of inertia of the spheres about this axis we have to find out. So to find the moment of inertia of the sphere about this axis, we make use of parallel axis theorem, because we know the moment of inertia of the sphere about its diameter. We know this moment of inertia. Okay, but we want moment of inertia of the sphere about this axis. So we apply parallel axis theorem. You know that according to parallel axis theorem, the moment of inertia of a rigid body about any axis is equal to the sum of moment of inertia about a parallel axis passing through its center of mass plus the product of its mass and square of the distance between the parallel axis, right? So we apply that formula. So here the moment of inertia is equal to, first what, the moment of inertia of the of the rigid body about an axis passing through its center of mass. So here the moment of inertia of the sphere about an axis passing through its center of mass is 2 by 5 mr square. Then plus the product of its mass and square of the distance between the two parallel axes. Square of the perpendicular distance between the two parallel axes. So here what is the distance between these two parallel axes? It is r plus this r. R is radius of the sphere plus this length of the rod. So total distance becomes 2r. So 2r square. Okay. This is moment of inertia of one sphere about this axis. But there are two spheres. So both are similar spheres. So to find moment of inertia of both the spheres, we multiply it by 2. Then plus moment of inertia of the rod about this axis. So we know that moment of inertia of the rod is moment of inertia of the rod about an axis passing through its center and perpendicular to its length is ml square by 12. So here mass of the rod is also m, right? But length is how much? Length is 2r. So 2r square. That is ml square divided by 12. Okay. So that is equal to let us simplify this. 2 by 5 mr square plus here it will be 2r square means 4r square. So 4 mr square into 2 plus here again its square is 4r square. So 4 mr square divided by 12. Let us simplify it further. To multiply it by 2, then it becomes 4 by 5 mr square plus 8 mr square plus here 4 ones are 4 threes are. So it becomes 1 by 3 mr square. Now you simplify this. Here LCM will be 15. 15 is the LCM. Then we have to multiply it by 3. Then it becomes 12 mr square. Plus this has to be multiplied with 15. Then 120 mr square. Plus this has to be multiplied with 5. Then 5 mr square. Divided by 50. Now simplify this. Okay. So 120, 125, 137 mr square divided by 15. So this is moment of inertia of the Whole system. This is the answer. 137 mr square by 50.
Now we take the last question of today's session. An equilateral triangle ABC is cut from a thin solid sheet of wood. D, E, F are the midpoints of its sides as shown, and G is the center of the triangle. The moment of inertia of the triangle about an axis passing through G and perpendicular to the plane of the triangle is I naught. If the smaller triangle DEF is removed from ABC, the moment of inertia of the remaining figure about the same axis is I. Then option 1, I is equal to 15 by 16 I naught. 2, I is equal to 3 by 4 I naught. 3, I is equal to 9 by 16 I naught. 4, I is equal to I naught by 4.
Here ABC is a triangle made from a uniform thin sheet. DEF are the midpoints of the sides of this triangle. D is the midpoint of AB, E is the midpoint of AC, and F is the midpoint of BC. And now DEF is the small triangle. Now it is given that the moment of inertia of this triangle ABC about an axis passing through its center of gravity G is I naught. Now if this small triangle DEF is removed from the triangle, its moment of inertia is I. Then what is the relation between I and I naught? That is the question. Okay. Yes. So first we will write the moment of inertia for this triangle ABC about an axis G. Okay. I will write it I naught. So I naught is equal to, I will write K M A square, where A is side of the triangle. Let us assume that the sides of the triangle is A. Then it is K M A square. Here K is any constant. You know that the general form of moment of inertia is I is equal to K mr square by K mr square. For example, moment of inertia of solid sphere, if you take about the diameter, it is 2 by 5 mr square. Here 2 by 5 is K. So some constant into ma square. So I have written K ma square. Similarly, the moment of inertia of the small triangle, I will write it as I dash. Small triangle DEF. Here if A is the side of this big triangle, then what will be the sides of this small triangle? It will be A by 2, right? Therefore I dash equal to, I will write K M A by 2 square. Okay, that is equal to K M A square by 4. Okay, yes. Now, when this portion is removed, what is the moment of inertia? That can be written as I is equal to I naught minus I dash, because from I naught this portion is removed. That is equal to K ma square minus K ma square by 4. So K ma square minus K ma square by 4 will be equal to 3 by 4 K ma square. Yes. This is I. Now I naught and I by I naught. You divide this by this. So when we divide this by this, then we get 3 by 4. This by here K ma square get cancelled, and we get 3 by 4. So this implies I is equal to 3 by 4 I naught. I is equal to 3 by 4 I naught. This is the answer.
I hope you like this video. Please like it and share it. Don't forget to subscribe to get the notification of similar videos.